How to change your mindset to overcome burnout and feel happy again. Interview with Serban Mare. Are you a professional feeling burned out and wondering, how can I escape this and feel happy again? Is there any way that you can overcome burnout without quitting your job or career? Yes. Would you like to learn some practical tools that can help you bounce back from burnout without quitting your job and still find that fulfillment and happiness that you have been striving for? Then you're in the right place. Our guest today, Serban Mare, shares how he bounced back from burnout and teaches technology professionals how to prevent burnout. And you are watching Happy and Healthy Mind program, episode 101. Thank you, Serban, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I am excited to be here.
Thank you. We are more excited. So, Sherban is a personal development expert. He's a speaker and a life coach who came to US with just $200 and went through all the stages to achieve that American dream. But then he started asking, is that it? The dream was not bringing him that happiness he was striving for. Then he realized that he was craving some deeper fulfillment and took the steps to transform his life to live more authentically and joyfully. Now he empowers burnout professionals, bounce back from burnout, shift their mindset, and gain that clarity for true happiness and fulfillment. And I'm your host, Dr. Rozina Lakhani. I help compassionate high achievers achieve more, earn more, make the impact they're meant to make without burnout and without losing their health or career. I'm an executive coach, a corporate speaker, and an integrative psychiatrist. I believe that your mind is the software that runs the hardware of your brain and your body. Therefore, we share practical tips for your mental fitness here. If you need specific medical advice, please consult your healthcare professional. But if you find this content helpful, then join our mission of eradicating preventable suffering by liking, subscribing, and sharing so more people can live and perform at their best with hope, health, and happiness. And so let's go ahead and learn from our guest. Sharban, tell us, how did this topic become important in your life? What kind of challenges were you going through before you started taking the steps that helped you?
You alluded it in the introduction that I did come to the US and I had this vision in my head of how life should be. My parents back home told me how I should live my life, the society told me, and that's what I was striving for when coming to America. And I checked all those boxes with finishing school, getting a corporate job, saving for my 401k and retirement, getting my own home. That American dream that was printed in my head, only to realize after achieving it that it wasn't giving me satisfaction. After achieving it for a few years, I was in this state where days would go by and there was nothing exciting about my life. I was just looking for that once or twice a year vacation, and that was it. And I was just wondering, feeling lost of, is there more to this life than just what others told me? And I lingered in that despairment, going to parties and feeling nothing, going to concerts and other things that I thought they were going to give me that excitement, to realize that there has to be more, because I keep saying that I was feeling fine, but there was nothing fantastic about my life, and I lingered there for many years.
And so the life changed after you took some steps. How did the life change after you took those steps?
Well, I attributed a lot to my wife, just because she saw me in this struggle and feeling a sense of burnout. It wasn't the sense of burnout where there's a lot of stress in my life. It's just a sense of being lost and not knowing what my future would look like and not being excited about my future. And she gently nudged me to listen to some personal development podcasts. There was one where Lewis House was interviewing the great Les Brown. And in that podcast, Les Brown talked about a lot of the things which you alluded to, that we make these stories in our heads and we loop around and we think that there's no escape, there's nothing for us to look forward to, but it's just a matter of changing our perspective so that we can take that action to take those steps to revive our lives and be more happy, be more fulfilled. And that was the catalyst that moved me towards finding out what is it that makes us happy.
Hmm. So your burnout was like, detachment and lack of, loss of sense of purpose, and you not enjoying your work as you were before. The passion was lost.
Exactly. I felt like I keep thinking about a car going on cruise control, where
Hmm.
you just take your hands off the wheel, and I'm just going every day being busy
Hmm.
with meaningless work and not being excited about anything.
Hmm.
I just felt out of control.
Hmm. Hmm. So that is one of the symptoms of burnout. And so then once you took these steps and follow the things that probably you're going to share in a minute, tell us, how did your life change after that? Like what difference do you feel now?
Yeah, it's been a road, it's been a process, but I can tell you that today I wake up every morning and I journal. I write three things that I'm grateful for, and I'm always
Yeah,
at
you
awe.
also do that. I also do that.
It's there's a whole psychology behind it, but the it's very difficult when you wake up. My mind is so blurry, but it really forces me to think about all the things that I'm grateful for, and I can tell you that I'm just in awe that I feel at peace. I feel that the things that I'm doing with my life now have a higher purpose, that I'm driven, I'm excited about the things that I'm doing, and just as a whole my day-to-days are feeling more full, and I feel happy as a whole.
Wonderful. So you are living your life fully and with the joy, feeling that inner satisfaction. That's wonderful. Yeah, so you already told us one of the tips that, like, the gratitude journaling, that is something that I teach all my patients,
Hmm.
everybody, because I am a true believer in the power of setting your brain to positive state first thing in the morning, because your whole day gets colored by that. Yeah, so we'd love to learn some more tools that helped you on in this journey and is continuing to help,
Hmm.
so our audience who may be in a similar situation can benefit. Tell us some more tips.
For sure. I look at it in three different components. So one of them is mind, of course, it's our mindset, then it's our heart, and
Mhm,
also our bodies. I
mhm,
think it's a three-part component that really helps me be more at peace and happy with my life. And I think a lot of people who are struggling with burnout, they lack any kind of energy to uh, do anything else other than the things that they must do in their day. And by taking care of your body, you have a higher chance of gaining that energy to really look forward to and doing the things that really give you a lot more excitement and bring you that happiness. So when it comes to the body, there's the mm, four different pillars. One is major sleep. I think sleep sleep is always the first thing that goes. When we're busy, we're like, okay, I'm gonna just sleep over the weekend, and we can't do that. So really taking care of my sleep has been helpful, and I can feel when I'm waking up that I have the energy and the spark to go on with my day. And of course, then the regular, making sure that we don't eat processed foods, then we do something to move our bodies, because the more we're energizing our body, the more we're energizing our minds, and the more we're able to go after the things that we want. So
You
body is
said
one.
four. You said four point pillars. So one,
And
you said sleep. The second one, you said nutrition. The
mhm.
third, you said movement. What was the fourth one?
The fourth one is when it comes to that gratitude part, so
Mhm.
really priming our cognitive load towards the energy part of it. So we, a lot of people have the tendency. I was on a skiing trip with my friends, and we were sleeping in a hotel room, and I woke up and both of them were on their iPads checking out their emails at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm thinking to myself, this is why your lack of energy, and you need that coffee and that energy drink, because the first thing that we do is we drain our mental capacity with other people's problems, right? Emails and social media and all these things are not something that we care about, is something that other people care about and reflect on us. So really protecting our cognitive load is the third pillar of getting that energy to be able to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish in our life.
That is so similar to some of the things that I teach. So one of the actually I had a guest, Dr. Sandra Jane. She talked about her research of 5 wellness tools, and they've
Hmm.
actually studied those tools not only in people who are kind of healthy, but they also have studied those 5 tools in people who are already struggling with depression, anxiety, or chronic pain. And their research, they were able to show that people who practice these 5 wellness tools actually improved their depression and anxiety by 36 to
Hmm.
42%. 36 to 42% decrease in depression and anxiety using these wellness tools. And 3 of them are overlapping. So one is the nutrition, the
Hmm.
second is the sleep, the third is the exercise,
Hmm.
and the fourth was in their research was mindfulness practice.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
in mindfulness practice, you are doing some meditation and being in your present experience. And so, present mindedness in day to day activities. And so, mindfulness is kind of has a component with your journaling, because when I'm journaling, I actually become really mindful and become grateful and appreciative of all the things that I have in life. And then the fifth one was social connectedness in that research. And so I'm totally in agreement with the 4 things that you like to talk about. Let's kind of go in a little bit more detail and give our audience some practical tips of how to improve on those 5 pillars in their life.
So when it comes to the body, and I call them, it's an acronym MEDS, MEDS. So mindfulness, meditation, and being careful of your cognitive load,
Uh-huh.
exercise, diet, and sleep.
Okay.
They're the 4 pillars. And sleep, the biggest thing that I've noticed is to making sure that we cut off everything technology wise an hour prior to sleep, because I've noticed this. We were watching with my wife a series on Netflix where there was a lot of action happening, and right after the episode would finish, we would go to bed. And for a week there, I could not sleep. And it's only after my wife pointed out, like, "Hey, we should cut off on the TV." When we stopped watching the TV, that technology, whatever social media, whatever news we watch an hour prior to bed, then our brain has a chance to kind of settle down and really get into that restful mode that we need. And the sleep component also, I know that is very important to. There've been studies showing that waking up and going to bed at the same time is very critical.
Yeah, because our bodies are bodies of structure. And you are very right about turning off the technology an hour before to give your brain that transition time.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I teach that to all my patients that turn off the TV before, turn off the TV or social media because my one of my patient was kind of laughing about it. I turn off the TV, but I'm checking all the messages and all the social media jokes and stuff that my family is sharing. I said, go ahead and enjoy that, but turn it off 1 hour before, because your brain needs to kind of close that chapter, close that book before it can
Hmm.
actually relax. And if you go to sleep without closing that chapter, then your mind keeps on thinking. So even
Hmm.
your body is tired and you fall asleep, but your mind keeps thinking, and therefore then you don't feel rested. And then you wake up early, or you keep on having multiple awakenings in between.
Correct.
So you turn off the
Totally
TV
agree.
1 hour before, so that's good. And then you're trying to wake up at regular time.
Hmm.
All
Yes.
right.
Yeah, even in the weekends now, I make it a point to wake up at the same time that I did in weekdays, and it really helps with the circadian rhythm to adjust your body. And usually, it starts after you establish this routine, it starts waking up and feeling sleepy on its own. And it really helps you move into that sleep, resting, recovery for your body that that we need. Because if you get good sleep, then you have energy to do the things that you want to do during the day and feel less burned out.
Yeah. And if you do get the regular sleep, so then you don't feel like, oh, I need to catch up on my sleep.
Hmm.
Because that's what I hear a lot of people say, especially young adults or young professionals. It's just like, okay, they're going to stay up late and then wake up for work in time and then kind of build up this sleep debt, and then I'm going to catch up on the weekend. And
Hmm.
so then by the time Monday comes, then your body is out of the circadian cycle again, and it has to retrain it. So every weekend you are messing up your cycle, and then Monday you have to reset your cycle. So
Yep,
what do you
exactly.
do if you wake up in the morning on the weekend? Like, so a lot of people say, what am I going to do if I wake up that early in the morning? What do you do?
Well, I would recommend, and this is what I've learned to do in the past few years, is really focus on the things that give you energy, the things that you're excited about. And this, when you're burned out and overwhelmed, it feels like everything is a chore, and you're either procrastinating or you're feeling bad because you're procrastinating. If you take charge of your morning and you focus the things that are meaningful to you in the morning, you get that spike of dopamine that, hey, I've done something for myself
Mm-hmm.
that I never get to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when
Mm-hmm.
you're able to do that, you that permeates through the day. You start
Mm-hmm.
with the gratitude, and then
Uh-huh.
you focus on the things that you enjoy. It feels like you're already winning the day, so everything else that you're doing throughout the day doesn't feel as much as a chore,
Mm-hmm.
as if you're waking up and you're like, okay, whose else's agenda I have to take care of first. If
Yeah.
you take care of yours first, you're bound to have a better day.
Mm-hmm. So what are some of the things that give you joy in the morning that you do?
I do meditate in the morning.
Uh-huh.
I
Okay,
have to
great.
say, it's a routine. So the three things that I'm grateful for are my main things. Going exercising or going hiking out in the nature is another thing. Uh, I do some cold plunges
Mm-hmm.
that are very body restorative, and I like to read. That
So you read or you go for a walk in the nature,
mhm.
you write your journal, you meditate. What was the fourth thing you said you do?
I do cold plunges.
What does that mean?
It's where you expose your body to colder water temperature. So you might have an ice bath that you're plunging in,
Oh
or you
my
just take
God.
a 3 minute cold shower.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's making me feel cold. It's been snowy over here.
it it
Yeah.
has a scientific proof that because of the stressors that you get from the cold water, and if you're able to withstand that and just sit in it for a few minutes afterwards, the dopamine reward from getting that cold shower it really propagates throughout I think the following 4 hours or so. So if you think about it, Marines, right, the Navy SEALs that train, they do this cold exposure because they're put in a stressful situation. Because every time, even now, when I step into that shower, it's just so cold and I don't want to do it. But you're taking charge of your mind by telling it, no, you can do this. And it's difficult at first, but the more you do it and the more you expose yourself, the more you get that reward that, hey, I'm in charge of my own mind. And you get that reward for hours on end because you've done something difficult, stressful,
Hmm.
yet
Hmm.
you're able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there is some science behind it also. So it does
Mhm.
help to reset the vagus nerve. And so I've heard about it a lot. I just, it makes me to feel too cold. So I don't do that. And it's okay. It's okay. You can do that because it works for you. And that's what the message I want to share with the audience, that if something doesn't work for you, you don't have to do that. But
Correct.
these are some of the things. It gives you the joy and it kind of helps you reset. I do my reading. I love my reading. I love my writing because that is the time my mind is most creative. I
Mhm.
love to look at nature, and if a nice weather, I go outside. Otherwise, I just enjoy. I love walking by the lake and enjoying the nature when I can. Otherwise, I enjoy the nature from inside the home. And yeah, like my husband would wake up and he would start playing his sitar or guitar because that gives him joy. And so everybody could have their own different ways of enjoying, but that gives you this extra time. All the people, if you're saying to yourself, I don't have time to enjoy, well, if you wake up regularly on at the same time, and you on your off days also, then you get these 2 3 hours of doing things that you really enjoy doing, whether it's any kind of crafts or art or music or reading or writing, whatever you enjoy, you get the time. So if you're watching this video, please go ahead and put in the comment, do you think waking at the same time on your day off is a good idea or not? Because I'm sure half of you would want to sleep in on the days off. And so please share, what is your reason if you do get up early? Why do you get up early, and what gives you joy that you practice? Maybe just share one activity so others may also benefit. All right, so Sherman, tell us. So we went a little more deeper into the sleep. Share some more tips about other pillars.
Well, the main topic that I like to discuss is mindset,
Uh-huh.
and that's the one that really helped me overcome a lot of the fears and a lot of the stressors that were preventing me from really going after the things that I wanted. And while I was, my wife nudged me into the personal development realm, and I started listening to all these different podcasts. And one person talked about uh, the book Mindset by Carol Dweck, in which she talks about growth mindset versus fixed mindset, where on the fixed mindset, we think that our abilities are fixed and there's nothing else we can do, versus the growth mindset, which is if you're wanting to do anything in this life, you can, as long as you put enough effort and dedication and it's really meaningful to you. And for me, that for some may be very logical and something that it's no brainer. For me, until I read that book, I didn't really believe it. But once I understood that, hey, if I really want something in my life, I just have to put effort in. And it doesn't matter if, because a lot of people are afraid to start anything because they're bad at it, or because they feel embarrassed, or because they fear that they're going to fail. But if it's something that it's meaningful to you, and you understand that in due time you'll be able to grow into that, whatever it is that's meaningful to you, it'll give you the energy that you want. And again, we're talking about how to reach happiness and fulfillment and overcome the burnout. And that's the way you do it. You start small with something that is meaningful to you, something that you care about, and you put in the practice, and you grow in time, and you get better.
So how do you change the mindset? How do you go from a fixed mindset to the growth mindset?
It takes, I think, you being in the working in the field that you do, I think, there's certain steps in person's ability to change. As at first you're not even aware that you want to change, then you become aware but you're not doing anything about it, then you understand that I want to do something about it, and you want to do something about it, yet you're not doing anything. And then you move to the stage where you're really planning out what you want to do to change. And ultimately you get to the point where you're so sick and tired of being sick and tired that you're acting on your plan. And that was my flow of, at first, again, I was so at a loss to what I want to do, that I didn't know it at first. Then I started to ask myself what it is. Then I've got into the personal development and understood the growth mindset, and I sat on it for a while, just listening to the concept and really over and over repeating into myself, oh, you can do anything you set your mind to, and having other people confirm that, until I've ultimately decided to take action and prove myself that I can do this. And for many people, this may be in a different way. I know that I've told myself all my life that I am not a runner. I had a fixed mindset that I could never run. I remember running 2 miles and I told myself that I would never do this again. And once I discovered the growth mindset, it's difficult. Once I discovered the growth mindset, I knew that the idea of running is very practical. Like I can tell in my body, in the miles that I'm doing, in the dedication that I'm putting in, that I'm actually growing, applying a growth mindset. And at first, I signed up for a half marathon, which is 13 miles. And with dedication,
Mhm.
effort, and time and growth, I was able to run a half marathon.
Wonderful. But before you go on, I'm like kind of having this question. So, 2 miles was making you feel you're never going to do it again, and
Mhm.
you decided to do the 13 miles. Like, there's some disconnect over here. What was making you feel I don't want to do this again? And then what made you think, oh, I should do this?
This is between when I had a fixed mindset where all of it was just like there's no way for me to, I'm not a runner, I this it's impossible for me to do any of that. And we tell
Because your
ourselves,
stamina was so low at that time.
mhm,
Okay.
we tell ourselves these excuses or these rationales that, oh, I'm just uh, I'm big boned, or I know I was telling myself that I'm not a coder, or I'm not good at math, or I'm very bad at writing, or I'm not a good speaker. All of these things we tell ourselves, and we let ourselves off the hook. But if we really care about them, and we believe that with enough effort and dedication, you can actually get better at them and improve. And over time, you actually can become better. Then it's just a matter of execution.
Yeah, so true. I like, I can reflect on my life and the stories that I have told myself. And then when I was able to like I used to think I'm not a writer.
Mhm.
I English is not my first language. I've never learned to be a writer, an author. I cannot be a good author. But yeah, after I faced that fixed mindset and confronted it, I was able to become the best-selling author. So that thank you. And so yeah, before starting the podcast, I was actually telling my coach that I feel really shy going public. I really felt that I would make mistakes or people would kind of think I'm not good enough, or like I had so many limitations. What if I say something that may hurt somebody?
Mhm.
As a doctor, I don't want to say anything that would hurt somebody. And so I had so many limitations. I was preventing myself from coming. And so actually my coach asked me, so you're a psychiatrist for 20 plus years, and so how do you talk to people if you're afraid of talking to people on the screen? And I said, well, when I'm talking to one patient at a time, the person is in front of me, I'm conversing with them, I can see their feedback, and so I can modify my recommendation based on that. So I'm totally comfortable talking one on one.
Mhm.
I just am not sure if I'm comfortable talking to whoever is watching or listening. And so he asked me, so what do you do if you make a mistake? And if the wrong word comes out of your mouth? I said, well, we laugh about it and then we move on, right? And so he said, why can't you do that on the screen? So maybe
Mhm.
so many people would benefit. And that's how I was able to overcome that inner fear and started podcast. So I'm talking to you, I'm totally fine talking with you, I just don't feel comfortable talking to this camera by myself.
Mhm.
And so I was able to overcome, and I could relate to so much to what you just said in your journey from not being able to run 2 miles to 13 miles. Did you go further than half the marathon?
I'm at my fourth marathon now.
Wow, wow. And how many miles do you have to run for the marathon?
That's 26.
Wow. So you're now running 26 miles
Mhm.
from 2 to 26, and you were able to overcome that mind block or
Mhm.
fixed mindset by realizing that you're telling yourself a story and changing your
Yeah.
inner story.
And I want to say something because you pointed it out that you were talking about not being a writer or not being good at podcast, and I think if anybody in the audience looks back at something that they're really good at right now, they can see that the process is exactly the same. It may not be at the job, a skill that you have, you were not good at first. There's no way you came out of the wound and you're like, I'm excellent at coding, right?
Yeah, I wonder how that would sound if a baby said, I am an excellent coder, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm an excellent walker. No, you stumble and fall at the beginning. That's the thing. We've done certain things in our past, and we think that those were the exception, but they're actually the reality. And anything else that we want to do with our lives, we can. Is just apply the same principle. Know that you have the ability to grow, and just stick with it. Uh, Dedicate time and effort, and you'll be able to get better at anything you want.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sharban. Like, I realize that, time is flying and we are at the end of our
Oh
our
wow.
time for this podcast, but people would love to learn more about what you have to say. And so if they want to read more about your work, where can they go?
They can go to my website. It's my first and last name, serbanmare.com. They can find me also on Instagram with the same handle. And they can just message me. And I would love to talk more about mindset. Is something that has really changed my life and has helped me be better and live a more fulfilling life. And I'm ecstatic to talk to anybody about the subject and help them overcome burnout.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing the gift. Shaban has graciously shared his article on 4 pillars to prevent burnout and feel happy again. And if you want to get that article, you can go to our website, happyandhealthymind.com. Happyandhealthymind.com. And if you click that button, resources, you'd be able to download all the resources that our guests share in these programs. And if you're in US and you would like us to send the links to these resources and reminders for future program, you can text the word joyful to the number 38470. Again, you can just text JOYFUL to the number 38470, and we'd be happy to send you the links and resources. And so let me leave you today with one question I'd like to ask you. Today is the first day of the rest of your life, and each day is an opportunity to make a new decision. What simple, small change you are going to make in your life today that would help you prevent burnout, bounce back from burnout, and feel that joy and fulfillment in your life. On that note, stay safe, happy, and healthy. Thank you, Sherban, for joining, and
Thank you very
thank
much.
you, everybody, for listening. Till next time, Dr. Rosina.